Second matchup of division leaders in Milwaukee as we hit the Midwest. New York's in the rear view mirror. Maybe a stop in Wisconsin is the answer for this D-backs offense. We'll find out starting right now. Join us for the D-backs and the Brewers on Fox Sports Arizona. Good afternoon from Miller Park and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly along the way. D-backs looking to get back on course here, having lost 10 of their last 11 games. Hopefully a stop in Milwaukee is the answer for the offense. Bob, this is usually where Goldie gets an offensive spark.
Yeah, Goldie, a lot of ballparks he gets an offensive spark, but especially here at Miller Park. Over the course of his career in 20 games in this ballpark, he's hit .456 with 7 homers, 10 doubles, driven in 20 runs. It's got to start somewhere. Everybody offensively is looking for Goldie to pick it up. Hopefully it'll be here tonight at Miller Park.
This has been a very good hitter's park for the Diamondbacks. Your pitching matchup tonight, former D-back Chase Anderson goes for the Brewers, and former Brewer Zach Greinke goes for the D-backs, and he has been really, really good lately.
Yeah, his last 4 starts, he's been outstanding. Has pitched well enough to win all 4, but his record is 1-0 with a 1.82 ERA, 26 punch-outs against only 4 walks in his last 4 starts.
Can the offensive drought end tonight? The first of 3 at Miller Park, the D-backs and the Brewers coming up on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Buick, visit your local Buick dealer. By Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today. By BJ's Restaurant and Brew House. Visit bjsrestaurants.com to find a location near you. By Carl's Jr. Memphis Barbecue Thick Burger is back at Carl's Jr. for a limited time. Go on and pick it up. And by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money. Is brought to you by Chaz Roberts, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By BJ's Restaurant and Brew House. Visit bjsrestaurants.com to find a location near you. and by Jack in the Box. This season, D-backs home runs score free jumbo jacks only at Jack in the Box. Well, the offense looking for a spark right now. They've got Zach Greinke on the mound. It's the first of three. The D-backs and Brewers. First pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. Good thing it's like November, December out there. You looked out the hotel window and thought, this is not the middle of May. It's cold and damp outside in downtown Milwaukee, but nice and comfortable inside. Welcome in, Steve Berthiaume. Bob Brenly, Jody Jackson with you. It's the D-backs and the Milwaukee Brewers. D-backs have lost 4 games in a row, 10 of their last 11. But hanging on, they've got a half-game lead over the Rockies atop the National League West. And here's their starting lineup tonight. It's presented by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Hopefully David Peralta will jumpstart the Diamondbacks order tonight in that leadoff spot. He'll be out in left field. Chris Owings playing right field, batting second. Jake Lamb will be at third base. Paul Goldschmidt at first. Ketel Marte at second base with Gerard Dyson in center. Nick Ahmed at shortstop. Jeff Mathis doing the catching as usual for right-hander Zach Greinke.
Well, as low as the D-backs have felt as of late, the Brewers are sky high. They are back home beginning tonight after a long road trip and opening a 10-game homestand. Milwaukee 28-19. They lead the National League Central Division. And now they're home for 10 games. They got to feel good about where they are right now.
Yeah, they're going through a lot of the same things that the Diamondbacks did in the first month of the season. They're getting timely hits when they need them. Their pitching has been really good, especially that bullpen.
Yeah, the Brewers and Craig Counsell home for 10 now. We start tonight 3 against the D-backs. Then the Mets come in for 4. And then 3 big ones for Milwaukee against the St. Louis Cardinals. They had a very successful road trip, Milwaukee, through Colorado, Phoenix, and Minnesota. They went 7-3 on that trip. In fact, it was the first time since 1988 that the Brewers won that many games on that long a trip. So they are feeling pretty good about themselves as we open up this 3-game series. Your Ram Truck starting pitcher for Milwaukee is Chase Anderson, the former D-back and this year's opening day starter for the Brewers. He's been out for 2 weeks with a stomach bug. Chase just reinstated from the DL earlier today.
Hey, you see the 10 home runs allowed in 45 1/3 innings. That's something the Diamondbacks will hope to exploit here tonight. Good park to hit in here at Miller Park. Chase Anderson will feature 3 different fastballs, a 4-seamer, a 2-seam sinker, and a cutter. Has a really good straight changeup that's usually his go-to pitch when he's in trouble, and also an overhand curveball.
And for a look around the diamond at the Brewers defense, we turn to E.D. Marshall Jewelers.
Christian Yelich will be out in left field with Lorenzo Cain in center. Domingo Santana over in right field. The infield will be Travis Shaw at third, Orlando Arcia at short, Jonathan VR at second base, Jesus Aguilar at first base, Manny Pena doing the catching for right-hander Chase Anderson.
Chris Guccione is our plate umpire tonight, calling the balls and strikes. Angel Hernandez is at first base. The crew chief Larry Vanover is the second base umpire, and Hunter Wendelstedt is at third. And before we get going, Bob, time for your Valley Honda dealers key to the game.
Well, pretty easy tonight facing Chase Anderson. Don't chase Chase. If you go after that curveball in the dirt, the fastball just above the zone, the change-ups and curves off the edges of the zone, you're playing right into his hands. So don't chase bad pitches. Make him throw strikes.
David Peralta is sent to lead it off. Chase going through his usual memories for his lost father and grandfather on the mound. RDA in the dirt of the pitcher's mound, the initials of his late father. Saw Chase do that for several years in Arizona. Now we're set to go. D-backs and the Brewers from Miller Park in downtown Milwaukee. Peralta 264, 7 homers. David not seeing the ball real well right now. He's 2 for 24 following a 7-game hit streak. That one is by Shaw and into left. A base hit for Peralta. Good start for the Diamondbacks. A leadoff single.
Haven't seen David go to the opposite field for quite a while. Nice approach that time. Got a sinker away from Chase Anderson. Just stayed right on it. Travis Shaw well off the line down there at third, and David able to sneak it by into left field for the first knock of the game.
Chris Owings in right field tonight. CO 205, couple of home runs. Fastball in is the strike, 0-1. Dr. Wazlewski looked at the MRI results on Steven Souza Jr. today, and there is an aggravation of that same right pectoral injury. There's some inflammation in there, and they're still hopeful that Steven will be able to avoid the DL. So Chris Owings is in right field tonight. That one was right there at the knees, but Guccione didn't bite. It's 1-1. Chase Anderson's going to need that pitch tonight.
I think every pitcher in the world needs that pitch. Bottom of the knees, middle of the plate.
You may see a lot of that from Chris Guccione behind the plate tonight. He is not a strike caller. That one's belted down the left field line and foul. In fact, Chris Guccione has been the biggest ball caller in the major leagues this year. He's always been a hitter-friendly umpire. But most notably this year, he's not been giving pitchers calls on the corners very often.
Which certainly doesn't bode well for Zach Greinke. We know that he can take advantage of an umpire that will go off the corners a little bit. He might have to bite off a little bit more of the strike zone tonight.
1-2 on Chris Owings. Chased a high fastball.
Anderson's best fastball, usually around 93, 94. He can hump it up to 95 on occasion, but he usually pitches just above the 90-mile-an-hour mark.
Jake Lamb in there at third tonight, 231 in 6 games this year. Jake 1 for 8 with an RBI double in 2 games at Citi Field against the Mets over the weekend. Peralta holding at first. 2-0 on Lamb. Now the defense for the Brewers shades a bit more over toward the first base side. We'll see RC, the shortstop, right behind second base ump Larry Vanover. Missed away. Lamb ahead 3-0. Goldie on deck. '94 up and away. And here comes Goldie, 2 on and 1 out. Goldie takes on Miller Park today, brought to you by AARP. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, he has hit an understatement to say extremely well in this ballpark.
Yeah, Goldie against Miller Park. I think Goldie has the edge right now. 456 in 20 games here at Miller Park. I mentioned it in the open of the show. This has always been considered a really good hitter's park. Great batter's eye in center field. And the ball tends to jump from gap to gap.
Got a fastball in, but fouled it away. Paul Goldschmidt, 205 and 5 homers this year.
Well, the numbers are startling for Goldie with runners in scoring position this year. And keep in mind, he's a career .313 hitter with runners in scoring position. He's 3 for 31. That's an .097 batting average.
Well, if you're going to look at the laws of averages with this lineup, and especially this particular hitter, it's got to change, and it's got to change soon. The numbers all say it will. Just a matter of when.
Well, this is the second time in this turn through the rotation where the starting pitcher had the highest batting average in the lineup.
Ooh. Trying to come in with a fastball, and the bases are loaded.
I mentioned Anderson will use 3 different fastballs, a 4-seamer he likes to work across the top of the zone, a 2-seam sinker, and a cutter that he'll use away from right-handed hitters into the lefties. That appeared to be the 4-seamer that clipped Goldie on the left elbow.
Well, so many times during this stretch the Diamondbacks have had chances just like this one, and they've left runners on base. They've gotten only 1 run instead of the big crooked number, so a chance for Ketel Marte at 221 and 1 home run. Peralta's at third, Lamb at second, and Goldie at first. Starts him off with a changeup, and it's low.
Good take right there. That's the one you do not want to chase. That changeup that starts down in the zone is probably going to end up below the knees, possibly in the dirt. See it up.
Lucioni gave him the corner up and away that time, and it's 1-1. D-backs on opening day were 2 for 5 with the bases loaded. Since then, they've gone 2 for 28.
Ouch.
Torey Lovullo looking and hoping for a while now for that big inning. So many times in this spot it's been an RBI sacrifice fly. It's been an RBI ground out. They just get the 1 run. They don't get the ball in the gap for a bases clearing double. That's been the difference. Steven Souza Jr. hopefully back soon. Should be available to pinch hit tonight if need be. One and 2 on Ketel Marte. Fastball misses up, and he's even 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gerard Dyson, the center fielder, on deck. Over the head of Tony Perez-Chica, the third base coach, and it stays 2-2. Of all the ballparks we go to, Bob, this most resembles Chase Field in so many different ways. The hitter's background in particular, but you've got the roof of the whole thing. Feels very much at home here for D-backs, folks.
As I mentioned, the ball jumps much like it has at Chase Field in seasons past.
See that hitter's background in center, the scoreboard above, very closely resembling Chase Field. Still 2-2. Breaking ball missed. Down and away. Full count, 3-2.
They don't have a pool, but of course, half the baseball season it would be frozen anyway.
It'd be frozen today, I can tell you that. It is cold and damp and nasty outside. They do have a slide.
Yeah, slide right into the pool.
Big pitch in the ball game right here. 3-2. He missed inside and walked in a run. Here comes Peralta, and it's 1-0 D-backs. And that's going to bring Derek Johnson, the pitching coach, out to the mound. The bases are still loaded for Dyson.
Well, the don't chase key to the ball game is especially significant tonight because, as you mentioned, Chris Guccione behind the plate doesn't really search for strikes. So if you can lay off those borderline pitches, you got a real good chance to get a base on balls or at least get a count in your favor.
And it's very ironic that Guccione was actually behind the plate for one of Chase Anderson's best ever starts. That was May of 2016, when Chase took a one-hitter into the 9th inning here at Miller Park against the Cubs. Rod Dyson, 204 and 2 homers. Base is still full, 1 out. Lamb at third, Goldie at second, Marte at first. Gerard had 3 hits in his start in center field yesterday against the Mets. One of them just a textbook gorgeous bunt single. That went against your key to the game right there. Couldn't check. And it's 0-2.
This is usually when you see Chase Anderson really go to that changeup a lot. He'll spot that fastball around the edges, elevate it, and then try to get you to chase that changeup down low out of the zone.
Chase the fastball upstairs. Anderson gets his second strikeout, 2 down.
Up the ladder on Dyson, got him to chase a couple pitches up there above the letters in that sequence.
Well, it's up to Nick Ahmed now to get that crooked number. Nick batting .215. He's got 6 home runs. Angel Hernandez at first. 0-1. Boy, another one right there at the knees. Chris Guccione says ball 1. It's twice now he hasn't given Anderson that pitch. Chase Anderson mixes up his pitches so well, it's hard to really sit on that fastball. He's got a whole bunch of things he can throw at you. Fastball, changeup, curveball, cutter, sinker. Uses almost all those pitches in equal amounts. Here's the 2-1 to Nick. And here's a fly ball left field. Yelich is there. The D-backs leave him loaded, but they get one. An early lead for Zach Greinke in Milwaukee. Run. D-backs have an early lead for your Ram Truck starting pitcher. It's Zach Greinke. 3-2, a 3.46 ERA. Zach, once briefly a Brewer, has given up a total of only 5 runs in his last 4 starts.
We talk about how much Goldie likes this ballpark based on his past numbers. Zach Greinke the same way, 16-3 in this ballpark in 27 starts.
The center fielder Lorenzo Cain leads it off for the Brewers. That one just off the plate. Chris Guccione says strike one. Cain 270 and 5 home runs. Fly ball short right. Owings got a late break and he's going to have to play it on a hop. CO backed up to start that time and then had to come in. By then it was too late.
It sounded like the ball was going to carry a lot farther than it did. He must have cued it out near the end of the bat. Chris Owings backed up a couple of steps, and by the time he realizes it's going to drop in front, he just can't catch up.
Here's the Brewers lineup presented by your Valley Chevy dealer.
Lorenzo Cain, the center fielder, on at first base. Christian Yelich, the left fielder, at the plate right now. Jesus Aguilar with 3 homers, or rather homered in 3 straight games. He'll be at first base. Travis Shaw at third. Domingo Santana in right. Jonathan VR at second base. Manny Pena catching. Orlando Arcia at short, and Chase Anderson on the mound.
Yelich fouls that one off. 290 and 5 homers. You got to keep an eye on Cain down there. He's 10 for 12 in his stolen base attempts this year.
The Brewers this season have only scored 18 runs in the first inning of a game. That's the lowest in the National League.
And yet they're a first place team.
Yeah. Just as a point of comparison, the Atlanta Braves have scored 40 first inning runs this season.
Also a first place team. Greinke and Cain once traded for one another back in the day. Cain was part of the package that the Brewers sent to the Royals to get Zach Greinke several years ago. 1-1 on Christian Yelich, the left fielder. Cain holding all the way. That one hit the corner, 1-2. It's a good example of something that's been happening a lot for Zach Greinke, getting called strikes with his fastball. In fact, he's getting more than any other pitcher in the major leagues. He's had a big jump in the amount of called strikes he gets with his fastball this year. Which is interesting because, as you mentioned, Bob, he's usually a guy that works kind of around the edges and tries to get guys to chase pitches that aren't quite strikes. But this year he's been in the strike zone a lot more often.
Quite possibly using his past approach in his advantage, to his advantage. We know Zach's a guy that, as we said, works the fastball around the edges, throws strikes with his off-speed stuff.
Got him to chase that one, and Greinke gets his first strikeout. E.D. Marshall Jewelers has a look around the diamond at the D-backs defense tonight.
Peralta, Dyson, and Owings left to right across the outfield tonight. Lamb and Ahmed on the left side of the infield. Marte and Goldschmidt on the right side with Jeff Mathis, as usual, behind the plate for right-hander Zach Greinke.
The red-hot Jesus Aguilar. 333, and now with 7 home runs. He's been on a home run tear as of late, as Bob mentioned. He's homered in 3 straight games. He hit 4 home runs in their 3-game set at Minnesota over the weekend. Aguilar turned target field into a launching pad for the Brewers. This is hit high to short right field. Another long run for Owings. Marte out there, and CO calls him off. 2 outs.
For me, one big difference between Miller Park and Chase Field is it always seems dark in here.
Yeah, it does.
You know, Chase Field, when they have the lights on or the roof open for a day game, there's a lot of light. It's very easy to see around the ballpark. But here, there's some areas that look a little shaded out there in the outfield. Occasionally, outfielders have trouble picking the ball up against the roof here.
And you see those glass sort of panels there around the infield as Travis Shaw steps in. You'll get some natural light in there, but it mixes with the artificial light, and it's kind of a weird tint to the lighting in here. Shaw, a dangerous hitter. He's got 10 homers. D-backs have 3 defenders on the right side. That one missed away, 1-0. Shaw, one of the few key left-hand bats in a right-hand heavy Milwaukee lineup.
The Brewers are a lot like the Diamondbacks. They're missing some very key pieces, including 3/5 of their starting rotation, their starting first baseman, their starting catcher. For Craig Counsell, some guys have filled in, including Aguilar, first base for Thames. He's been doing a great job.
Fly ball, deep center field. Dyson at the track. He's at the wall, and it's gone. Travis Shaw, his 11th, and the Brewers take a 2-1 lead. That one made it out to the walkway there under the center field scoreboard.
It looked to be a changeup from Zach Greinke working its way toward that outside corner. Shaw just goes out and covers that outside corner and hits it with authority just to the left of straightaway center field. That ball went a long way.
Another power hitter for Milwaukee, Domingo Santana, the right fielder. Big home run swing. He got the slow curveball. Greinke was ready for him. Santana, 254. He's got 2 homers. This is a guy that hit 30 last year for the Brewers. You don't see that a lot from Zach Greinke.
Well, he definitely changed the eye level.
Yeah, maybe if you're a giraffe.
Yeah, you have to look straight up to see that pitch. He just slipped out of his hand at the point of release and sails over everybody all the way to the backstop.
Got Jeff Mathis back there. Mathis catching back-to-back games. He got the start behind the plate yesterday at Citi Field in New York. 1-2 on Santana.
Not a horrible turnaround to catch back-to-back days. A day game in New York yesterday, relatively short flight here to Milwaukee, and then a night game tonight. So Torrey felt very comfortable running Jeff Mathis back there 2 nights in a row.
I did notice he's become fond of that Father Guido Sarducci hat that he wore on the flight out to New York. He's wearing that on the plane after the SNL dress up. Greinke gets 2 strikeouts in the inning, but Shaw's 2-run homer gives Milwaukee the early lead.
1-0, but Travis Shaw, his 11th homer of the season, makes it 2-1. Brewers, time for our top of the order things to watch. I caught up with Jake Lamb today. This is just his third game back, and he knew it was going to be tough. He looked at the schedule about when he was set to come back off the DL, and he saw that it was going to be DeGrom and Syndergaard, but he felt really good about the fact that he did have that RBI double on Friday night against the Mets. It was the little bit of offense the Diamondbacks had, but he felt like that was a good way to start off for him, hitting DeGrom as he did. And then when you look at Steven Souza, he might test that arm, guys, throwing the ball tomorrow. It's just going to depend on how he feels, but Torey Lovullo did acknowledge that in order to make a proper decision on what's going to go on with him, if they can hang on and wait for him to feel better, or for him to go on the DL, he's going to have to try to throw the ball.
Yeah, Jody, they really won't know the severity of that aggravation of the injury until he tries to do that. And so they're in kind of a standby mode with Steven. Mathis lined out to Yelich to start the second. Here's Zach Greinke.
Mentioned a while ago that this is the second time through the rotation where the pitcher in the Diamondbacks lineup has had the highest batting average. Zach Greinke hitting .267 before this at bat. The next highest average was David Peralta at .264. And then it drops all the way down to Jake Lamb at .231.
Yeah, the D-backs, well, they've lost 10 of their last 11, and in virtually every category have had the worst offense in the National League. They have scored more than 4 runs only twice in their last 21 games. Runs have been hard to come by. He didn't go, says Angel Hernandez, peering in from first.
I wonder if that's a psychological thing that Zach does. He points down to the first base umpire to appeal his own check swing.
We saw him do that in his last start. He has good luck with it. I think he's 2 for 2. This was out to right field. Santana runs it down for the second out.
Hey fans, a D-backs home run tonight means a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
David Peralta singled and scored to lead off the ball game. Came home on a bases loaded walk by Ketel Marte. D-backs had bases full, 1 out in that inning, and could only get the 1 run across on that bases loaded walk. 2 walks, a hit batter, and a single. 2 outs on 5 pitches for Chase Anderson. That one misses low.
2 outs, both line drives. Jeff Mathis to left field, Zach Greinke to right field.
I think what's caught up with the D-backs here very recently has been obviously the A.J. Pollock injury. A.J. was carrying them offensively for a while. And David Peralta's gone through a dry spell here, 2 for 24 after a 7-game hitting streak. And those 2 guys' bats have kind of disappeared for a while, and the offense has struggled. They trail the Brewers 2-1. Lowe's whole team together. The D-backs defense led by Nick Ahmed, among the best in the league.
And has been since day one. That's something you'd like to believe you can hang your hat on every day. The bats are going to get hot and cold. The pitchers are going to run hot and cold. But you'd like to think that defense is there for you every day.
And then you see the Brewers down there at the bottom. More than twice as many errors as the D-backs. Jonathan Villar, the second baseman, leads off the Milwaukee second against Zach Greinke. Villar, 287. He's got 2 home runs. He's hit the ball well lately. 3 multi-hit games in his last 6. Chris Guccione gives Greinke that call just off the plate. It's a ball and a strike. Zach Greinke faced these Brewers last week at Chase Field. Gave up 1 run, 4 hits and 6. He pitched very well. But despite that, Zach said that Milwaukee had some of the best at bats he's faced this year. He really had to mix it up a lot against them. And when he did have to come to the hitter or he made a mistake, the Brewers generally hit the ball pretty hard. Full count, 3-2.
This year's Brewers team, not quite Harvey's wall bangers, but they've got some thump up and down the lineup.
Some home run hitters for sure. Spins around and strikes out. 3rd strikeout for Greinke.
Like a cut fastball, pretty much right in the middle of the plate that time. VR with a big swing, very tardy that time.
The catcher is Manny Pena. Pena hitting .222 with 4 home runs. That's fouled away. The home runs have been a problem recently for D-backs pitchers. 2 more here in this ball game after Travis Shaw's first inning homer. 7 of the 12 runs in the Mets series came via the home run.
And most of those late in the ball game after the 7th inning.
And the one that really hurt was the one that Archie Bradley gave up the other night. Slowly hit to shortstop for Ahmed. 2 outs for the shortstop, Arcia. Orlando Arcia, 208. He's got 2 home runs.
This is a guy you can usually expand the strike zone on. He's only walked 7 times all season. He will punch out a bunch.
Along the right field line, slicing out of play.
I don't know if it shows up on our cameras for the viewers at home, but it looks foggy in here.
I was just thinking that. It's odd. It looked like Citi Field the other night when we had all that rain and fog.
Could have been the indoor fireworks that they shoot off right before the game starts. Maybe the smoke just kind of settling in here at Miller Park. But look out toward center field. It kind of looks like looking out your hotel window today. You couldn't see across the street.
It's a lovely ballpark, but it does add sort of the weird lighting aura we were talking about earlier. Everything's got kind of a bluish tint to it. 1-2 on Orlando Arcia. Greinke looking for a 1-2-3 second. Spun him around with a fastball in. 2-2. He's gone full on the number 8 hitter, the pitcher Chase Anderson, on deck. Swing and a miss. 4 strikeouts for Greinke. A 1-2-3 second. D-backs trail in Milwaukee 2-1. Thrones night is back at Chase Field,
right.
July 7th. Calm yourself. Get a lower level game ticket and the exclusive Ice Dragon bobblehead for only $50 with the special event ticket pack. You got to get the special event ticket package to get your Ice Dragon bobblehead. Limited quantities available. Go to dbacks.com/GOT or send a Raven, Gallardo Harris.
What's the deal with the Ice Dragon?
Well, we lost a dragon to the Night King. When it flew through the wall, it melted the wall with the fire, and the wall came down, and then all the bad guys could come in. Oh. So that's a problem.
Is there a Day King as well, or just the Night King?
No, just the Night King.
Okay.
Goes back to since the first men. It's a long story. Chris Owing struck out his first time up. I know you're being sarcastic, but you do have time to get on board the bandwagon here before the final season starts.
I've got too many other shows to catch up with that I actually want to see.
Got a lot on your plate, do you? No time to learn some old Valerian or anything. Angel, nope. He always has that odd smirk after every call.
And he's always down in a crouch when they appeal to him down there at first base.
Well, he's peering in to make sure he gets the call correct. 1-2 on CO. Fly ball for Santana. 1 out in the third, 6 in a row set down by Chase Anderson. Jake Lamb walked his first time up. Chase Anderson was supposed to pitch against the Rockies at Coors Field at the beginning of the Brewers' last road trip, but the night before his start he got really sick and had to be scratched. He was feeling better by the next day, but they were already so short on pitchers. That one is a check swing foul that they had to put Chase on the DL and bring up a healthy arm. And so it's been more than 2 weeks since his last start, which was May the 6th. You don't often see guys go on the DL with a stomach bug, but that's what happened to Chase Anderson.
Where were they at? Colorado? Is that
yeah,
what you said?
Colorado.
Rocky Mountain Oysters.
Something. They brought up Freddie Peralta, who struck out 13 in his major league debut and went back down to the minors when Anderson was activated today. He was sensational in his first start for Milwaukee. There's the Brewer defense against Jake Lamb. Fastball in on the hands, and Lamb strikes out. Third strikeout for Chase Anderson.
Jake's timing just not quite where it will be with some more at bats, some more experience against live major league pitching. Just tardy on that heater that time.
There's Goldie, hit by a pitch his first time up.
You can see a little mark on Goldie's left elbow. I'm sure it's throbbing underneath, but not much damage on the surface.
Brewers have 3 infielders on the third base side. There it is.
Seam marks.
Plunked by that pitch as last time. Well, Chris Guccione just does not give you those corners generally. It's 1-1. Mentioned Goldie's ridiculous numbers in this ballpark. 456 career here in 20 games. 7 homers and 20 RBIs, but he did not destroy the ballpark when we were here last season. We played 4 games here. Goldie started 3 and went just 2 for 11 with 1 RBI. So he was contained in his last visit. That's a fair ball at third for Shaw. Long throw. And they got him. 8 straight set down by Chase Anderson. Brewers lead the D-backs 2-1.
Geico. We just came from New York where we saw Ron Darling, who pitched for Yale back in 1981 against Frank Viola and the St. John's Redmen. What has widely been described as the greatest college game ever played, a 1-0 win for St. John's in 12 innings. Ron Darling pitched 11 no-hit innings in that game. Gave up a hit in the 12th. A double steal ended up pushing the only run of the game across.
Chase Anderson, the Brewers pitcher, leads off the third against Zach Greinke. Frank Viola.
Yeah, I was just going to say he went 11 innings. He gave up 7 hits, but Ron Darling, a 12 inning 1-hitter, struck out 16 and took the loss.
He said, to this day, after 42 years in baseball, I've never seen a better pitched game. And the funny thing about that game, Yale Field no locker rooms. So the St. John's baseball team got there. It was a Thursday. They arrived. Everybody was already in uniform, off the bus, on the field. Go get them.
Said when Darling did give up the base hit in the 12th inning, both dugouts gave him a standing ovation, as well as the 2,500 people that were at the game that day.
Yeah, that game has really taken on legendary status among baseball people. And both guys went on to very good major league careers, obviously. Greinke with a fastball right there for a strike. He's punched out 5.
And apparently they didn't have analytics departments back then in the Ivy League, because it's estimated that both pitcher threw over 170 pitches in that game.
And both guys were fine.
Yeah.
Which leads you to ask, what's going on?
What's going on?
When did it all go wrong? Human physiology has not changed that much since that game. But now you got, in Tampa Bay, you've got closers starting ball games.
Yeah. Get 3 outs and pull the plug.
Lorenzo Cain singled and scored in the first, came home on the Shaw 2-run homer. What do you think of that, by the way? See what Kevin Cash is doing with the Rays.
You know, it made all the sense in the world against the Angels, because our first 3 hitters are all dangerous right-handed hitters. So why would you start a left-hander against 3 thumpers at the top of that order? It makes all the sense in the world to me.
They started, it was Sergio Romo, wasn't it?
Back-to-back days.
A reliever started, got his 3 outs, and he was done. All the analytics people going crazy with that. A new dawn on the horizon, perhaps.
Might force Mike Scioscia to change his lineup a little bit. Wedge a lefty in there somewhere, just so teams don't do that against the Angels.
Fly ball to center field. Gerard Dyson out there for the D-backs. 2 outs in the 3rd. You think that's something that can find long-term sustained success at the major league level, just having all kinds of crazy pitching combinations?
Oh, absolutely. You know, and there are more and more managers and general managers and front offices that are thinking outside the box, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit to see a day where you start a pitcher, he goes once through the opposing lineup, face 9 hitters, and then bring in the next one.
Because theoretically, if you count bullpen sessions in between starts, guys are generally pitching every 3 days or so, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not competitive pitches down there on those bullpen sessions, but well, certainly if they knew what was expected of them, you could ramp it up very easily and go out and start a game on your side session days if you knew it was going to be a short outing.
Christian Yelich struck out his first time up. It's kind of like a bunch of analytic people all got together in a bar one night, got really drunk, and said, what can we do that's just crazy? Oh, how about starting Sergio Romo?
That's the way some of the best innovations in baseball have come about.
Alcohol.
Yes. The winter meetings would not go on without it.
That's right. What were you thinking when you made that trade? Well, it was late, and we were down at the hotel bar, and
we were out of ice.
David Peralta. Zach Greinke has set down 7 straight since the Shaw homer. D-backs trail at 2-1. giveaway games coming up next month. You don't want to miss these, starting with a Paul Solo Star Wars bobble on June the 2nd. The Father's Day Hawaiian shirt June 17th. And the must-have travel duffel bag June 30th. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. Ketel Marte, who drew a bases-loaded walk in the first for the D-backs' only run, leads off the fourth against Chase Anderson, who since that bases-loaded walk has retired all 80s faced. So you won't be ready for the Game of Thrones bobble. What about the Paul Solo, a Star Wars bobble?
I'm always ready for a Goldie bobblehead. I don't care what kind of costume he's wearing.
By the way, we had the one in New York. Did your staff? Your staff has misplaced our Paul Solo bobblehead. Nice going, staff. At least we didn't leave it with Antony in New York. We have that tape. We could run that tape. And we lost the tape of Antony too. Things aren't going well here. 2-2. I think the Paul Solo bobblehead that we took with us on the trip is in an equipment trunk somewhere in the clubhouse.
Just none of us had room to fit it in our bags.
Yelich in left field. I think right there, Bob, Yelich may have lost that in either the bank of lights or that glass window panel, because he sort of crouched down there. That ball was a bit of a line drive coming at him. That's what he was looking into at trying to find a white baseball.
Yeah, and that those glass panels you see there on the first base side for the day game on Wednesday, that's going to be a challenge for the defenders if the sun's out.
Rod Dyson. This is popped up first base side. PR behind Aguilar. That's 10 straight retired by Chase Anderson. 2 down in the fourth. Nick Ahmed now.
Well, you used to be able to tell from inside Miller Park when it was raining outside Miller Park. I've told the story many times in the past. One of the first games I managed in this ballpark, the place I stood in the third base dugout over here, there was a leak in the roof, and it was dripping right on my head the entire game.
You ever feel like sometimes the world is just against you?
Yeah.
You could have just moved.
I did eventually.
Oh, all right.
But it just seems so odd, you know, this huge ballpark and this huge expanse of a roof, and the one leak was right above where the manager stands in the third base dugout.
Well, probably just a coincidence.
I think they drilled a hole up there.
They may have. Hey, Brenly's here next week. Send the guy up to the roof. Take a big drill bit. 0-2. Torey Lovullo looks dry so far. One thing about Chase Anderson, he is the polar opposite of a ground ball pitcher. In fact, he gets more of his outs in the air than nearly any pitcher in baseball. And so far tonight, he's got only one ground ball out. Everything else is either a strikeout or a fly ball.
Which is a dangerous way to go about making a living in this ballpark. I mentioned the ball seems to jump here.
Lines it right to VR at second. Chase Anderson's third consecutive 1-2-3 inning. He leads it 2-1. And remember, if you can't watch the games on TV, stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. It's brought to you locally by your Valley Honda dealers. Download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona and your D-backs with you wherever you go. We're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, first of 3 D-backs and Brewers as the road trip continues. Zach Greinke has retired 7 straight since the Travis Shaw homer in the first, and Jesus Aguilar, the first baseman, leads off the Brewer 4th. One caught the corner in there, but Guccione doesn't like the corners, and it's 1-0. Aguilar flied out his first time up. Breaking ball down there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Aguilar is the hot bat in this lineup right now. He's hit safely in 5 straight games, 10 of his last 11, with 5 home runs over that span. Fouled away, and Greinke's ahead 1-2.
Hit a long home run into the upper deck in Minnesota yesterday on a fastball that was about shoulder high. Just tomahawked it out of the ballpark.
He's a large human at 6'3", 250.
He was the guy Craig Counsell referred to last year as his secret weapon off the bench. Compared him to a Rubio Durazo back in the early 2000s.
Fastball down and away, and Zach Greinke gets his 6th strikeout. Travis Shaw, this 2-run home run in the first out to center gave the Brewers the lead.
Estimated distance of 403 feet out over the concourse out there, just to the left of straightaway center field.
He hit a long home run high off the right field foul pole at Chase Field last week. And he's now got 11 home runs on the year. D-backs overload the right-hand side against him. Breaking ball missed. It's 1-0. The good news is that Greinke has retired all 8 batters he's faced since the Shaw homer. Here's a look at the D-backs defense. Jake Lamb, the only defender on the left side. Bouncing ball to Ketel Marte from the outfield grass. 2 outs in the 4th. Here's Domingo Santana, who struck out to end the first.
Ground ball to second base that time. Watch Zach Greinke. Any ball hit to the right side, he's going to break over in case they need him to help cover first. But when the throw is low, oh, he just snuck out of the picture there. He went down like Goldie did, like he was going to field the ball at first base. He was reading the play. He saw the throw was going to be low, and just by his body language out there, he was trying to help Goldie get into a position to pick that ball. Watch him here. Low throw, get it.
It's like a golfer watching a putt.
Where you really see that a lot with pitchers is that little humpback line drive that's just over the head of the infielder. They'll jump on the mound trying to help their infielder get a little bit higher.
Behind on Santana, 2-0. This is low. 3 balls and no strikes. VR, the second baseman, on deck. Greinke's got 6 strikeouts. He's not walked a batter. Sky high. It backs up Owings in right field. He's at the track. He's at the wall. And it's gone. Domingo Santana. That's his 3rd, and it's 3-1 Milwaukee. Once again, a run scores against the Diamondbacks via the home run ball. That's been a problem as of late.
Santana always looks like he's about to fall asleep in the batter's box, but then that pitch is released and he unleashes a vicious swing. Slicing ball to right field that just does sneak over that fence.
Well, he homered last week at Chase Field. He gets another one here against the D-backs at Miller Park. And that brings up VR. Greinke had retired 9 in a row. That stays fair for Mathis. But the Brewers add a run. Santana's third makes it 3-1 Milwaukee.
Because no matter where you serve or when you served, we stand ready to serve all military families.
Back at Miller Park, Domingo Santana. A solo homer gives Chase Anderson a 3-1 lead as Jeff Mathis leads off the fifth. Anderson has retired the last 11 batters he's faced since a bases loaded to walk to Ketel Marte in the first inning. Delivered the only D-back run so far. They've got just one hit, and that was Peralta's leadoff single. Mathis quickly down 0-2. One of Chase Anderson's best starts as a Brewer came against the D-backs here at Miller Park last May. You might remember he took a no-hitter into the 8th inning before it got broken up by Nick Ahmed's single. He struck out a career-high 11 Diamondbacks in that ballgame. So far today, he's walked 2 and struck out 3. The pitcher Greinke on deck, Peralta after that. Fastball misses up. Full count 3-2. Came in with a fastball. And Mathis is aboard to start the fifth. Travis Shaw coming in just about halfway from third. Foul ground near the Brewer dugout. Pena.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free crunchy beef tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
So Greinke can move the runner along. 1 out for Peralta, who has singled and flied out. He scored the D-backs' only run on Marte's bases loaded walk in the first. Shaw at third. They get 1. And they can't turn two. Peralta safe at first, says Angel Hernandez. Ray Counsell says, hold on, we want to take a look. Everybody stay put.
This is one of those attempted double plays from the shift. You can see the shortstop coming in from the shortstop position to take the throw from the third baseman. Makes it a very awkward, unusual turn out there at second base. Very close at first.
And they are going to challenge the safe call at first. We saw the Brewers out here on the field before the game today. And that's the kind of thing that they practice, Bob. The Diamondbacks do the same thing at home. Usually not too much on the road, is putting, say, the third baseman over by second and field ground balls out there, or the second baseman taking grounders out in the right field grass.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. If you're going to put your players out of their normal position where they're used to fielding and throwing from, then you need to practice it as well. That's close.
Remember, as we always remind you, it's considered a catch when the ball is in the back of the mitt and the webbing there in the pocket. Pretty quick look in New York. He is out at first. Will they get the call overturned? It's a double play. Bottom five we go. D-backs trail at 3-1. The fifth inning, and we hit the home half here in Milwaukee. And we'll remind you, you can watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. It includes MLB at Bat Premium. That lets you watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Visit MLB.tv for all the details. Manny Pena, the catcher, leads it off for Milwaukee. Pena grounded out his first time. Pena, despite that .220 batting average, has been very productive lately. Made 7 starts on their road trip through Colorado, Arizona, and Minnesota. And he hit safely in all 7 games. Everybody on this Milwaukee ball club is hitting right now. They had a very good road trip. 7-3 on the 10-game trip. First time since 1988 that the Brewers won that many games on that long a trip. And they lead the NL Central, although that division is very close. They got 3 teams all a half game behind them.
Yeah, bunched all a game and a half behind the Brewers going into play tonight. The Reds 12.5 back, bringing up the rear.
2-2 on Manny Pena. And while the Brewers are hitting, their starting rotation, which has been injury plagued, is starting to get a little bit better. They got Chase Anderson back for this start tonight. Zach Davies has been out since the end of April with right rotator cuff inflammation. He had a very promising minor league rehab start over the weekend. He could be back this week. And Jimmy Nelson continues to progress after shoulder surgery.
Jimmy's progressing.
Jimmy's getting better. Davies had 9 strikeouts in 4 2/3, pitching in an A-ball game on Saturday. There's the slow curveball that missed. It's full 3-2. Well, there in that shot of Jeff Mathis back there, you get a sense of that fog effect that you were talking about earlier. It still kind of hovers on the field down there just a bit.
Just a little hazy. Not bad, and I don't think it affects the players in any way, shape, or form, but when you're sitting this far removed from the field, you can see that haze out there.
Lazy, hazy days of summer when it's 48 degrees on May 21st. 3-2. Shouldn't really be surprised that Milwaukee's having a good year, leading a very competitive division. This is a ball club that was 10 over 500 last year, 86 and 76. And with Craig Counsell, they added Yelich and Kane. Bullpen has been outstanding this year. Fly ball to right field. Chris Owings backs up, now comes in. One out in the 5th.
I think the thing that surprises a lot of baseball fans about the Brewers is they don't recognize a lot of these names. You know, these are not names that are on the headlines every day on the highlight shows. Just a bunch of ball players. I think that's the way Craig Counsell likes it. Ryan Braun, probably their most recognizable player, and he's on the disabled list.
He's got a back problem. We barely saw Braun in the series last week in Phoenix. Here's Arcia. A strikeout victim his first time up. Waves at that one, 0-1. Brewers only have 3 hits against Zach Greinke, but 2 of them are home runs. Travis Shaw, a 2-run shot in the first. Domingo Santana, a solo homer in the 4th. Greinke having to work in this inning. That was a long at bat by Manny Pena, 9 pitches. This is chopped to third for Lamb.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Zach had been pretty ruthlessly efficient. 14 pitches in the first, then 15, 13, and 12. But Pena had that 9-pitch at bat all by himself. Now it's 66 pitches with 2 outs in the 5th. And here's the pitcher, Chase Anderson. Chase, when he was with the D-backs, was kind of a skinny kid. He's made an effort to bulk up a bit more. It's very sort of noticeable physically on him. He's 30 years old now. We're all a little bulkier than we were when we were younger, but
just a tad.
Chase wanted to get a little more durable, pitch deeper in the ball game, so he bulked up a bit in the offseason prior to last year. He was terrific last season, 12 and 4. Can't check his swing there, and Greinke gets his 7th strikeout. We hit the 6th inning in Milwaukee. D-backs trailing 3-1.
Peter Pan. I'll never forget that. Yeah, they showed it on the big screen like 3 years ago. I'll never forget that. I always bring it up whenever I see him. So, no, but he's
It's etched in your memory, Peter Pan.
yeah, because he's not a superhero.
Well, Jake Lamb pointing out that Peter Pan is typically not in the category of superhero and laughing about it when I asked him about Chase Anderson, a former teammate of his, and Chase, though, appearing a bit superhero-ish himself here today with just the one hit given up, Peralta to lead the game off. And guys, you know, they had their chance in that first inning. Last year in that game, he took into the 8th with a no-hitter. They also, he gave up 2 walks in the first inning there, so the D-backs are hoping that he doesn't have the last laugh with that opportunity in the first that they couldn't take advantage of.
Thank you, Tinkerbell. That was Peter Pan, right?
Yeah.
Captain Hook, the whole thing.
And I disagree with Jake Lamb because all 4 of my granddaughters would say that Peter Pan is indeed a superhero.
Chris Owings. Hey, he wore tights just like every other superhero. They were just green, that's all. Chris is struck out and flied out. Generally not the first name that comes to mind when you start listing superheroes. To back up Jake's point, Shaw throws out Owens 1 away. You don't like the Game of Thrones. You're not a big Star Wars guy. What about all the superhero movies? You like those? I can't sell you on any current film genre, can I?
Documentaries.
Yeah, that's it. Jake Lamb.
Musical concerts, you know, stuff like that. I was a big James Bond guy. I still am. Love James Bond.
Daniel Craig?
Oh, all of them.
That work? Okay.
Well, almost all of them.
What happened? Which was the one that didn't?
What was the guy? Roger Moore for me. A little too cool. Too suave.
Roger Moore. I can't do a good Roger Moore.
And who was the other? There was one other one that just didn't seem to...
Don't say Sean Connery.
No, Sean Connery is the man.
Oh, Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, there you go.
This one is hit deep to left field. Yellett's at the wall, and it's gone. Jake Lamb, a superhero, is first, and it's 3-2.
How about that? On Oppo that time. There's been a couple fly balls hit to the outfield that have fooled the outfielders. They didn't carry as far as they thought they were going to, both for the Brewers and the Diamondbacks, but Jake gets a fastball up and out over the plate, gets it high in the air to left field, and that one just seems to continue to carry on out of here. Yelich tries to measure it right at the wall, but comes up empty.
Breaking ball, buckled Goldie there. That's a Jumbo Jack. Free Jumbo Jack tomorrow with Jack in the Box for the purchase of a large drink. Goldie's been hit by a pitch and grounded out. That is the Diamondbacks' first base hit since Peralta's single that led off the ball game. Fouled away. Goldie's going to need a new bat. 1-2.
We're seeing more and more teams attack Goldie inside, not only inside, but inside off the plate. Chase Anderson plunked him back in the first inning when he grounded out to third. Fastball inside, and this at bat just pounding him inside with heaters.
Fly ball to right field. Santana drifting over near the line. And the ball that he hit out for a home run at Citi Field was a fastball in.
Yeah. You start looking for patterns like that as a hitter. How are opposing teams attacking me? Is it carrying over from one series into the next, That would be an indication that you need to make some kind of an adjustment, either back off the plate, move back in the box a little bit, give yourself a little bit more time, or just mentally be a little bit quicker, start a little bit sooner.
Ketel Marte. This is down the line in left field, but drifting into the seats and out of play. Marte drew a bases loaded walk in the first inning. D-backs had a 1-0 lead. Travis Shaw's 2-run home run in the bottom of the first made it 2-1 Milwaukee. Marte knocks that into right field. A 2-out single. He's aboard for the second time tonight. Brewers added a run on Domingo Santana's solo shot in the fourth. And now Jake Lamb has made it 3-2. Here's Jerron Dyson.
Left-handed hitters always like it when the batter in front of them reaches first base, because now you've got the first baseman holding on Ketel Marte, leaving a big hole on that right side of the infield for Jarrod Dyson.
Travis Shaw has 1 foot on the grass at third. Now he'll back up just a bit, even with a bag down there. Just off the corner. 1-0 on Jarrod Dyson, coming off a 3-hit game yesterday in New York.
That's because it was Noah Syndergaard. He owns it.
Oh, that's right. You had that stat yesterday. Could have used a guy named Noah here today based on the weather outside.
Yeah, no kid. If I'm not mistaken, Jarrod Dyson 5 for 5 lifetime against Noah Syndergaard. Maybe 6 for 6. I'd have to go back and check the numbers. He owns it.
Squares to bunt on the 1-1. Jesse Wentz says Hunter Wendelstedt pulled back a little late. Torrey coming out on the field now. He wants to talk to Chris Guccione.
Quite sure what that was all about. It looked like a standard appeal. Did he bunt at the ball? Maybe Torrey was asking if they was it a foul tip or something? I'm not sure what the question could possibly be right there.
1-2 is the count. That's popped up for Pena near the screen. Yeah, Torrey was not at all happy with the procedure there. Yelling down to Chris Guccione to stop play for a moment. Had to come out on the field to get his attention. Still 1-2 on Dyson. Marte is the runner at first. 2 outs and a run home on the Lamb home run, his first of the year. That's a foul ball, says Angel Hernandez.
Brief delay while that ball is thrown out of the game. It bounced in the dirt a couple times. Got to throw it out, get a new one.
It is unbelievable. Well, he got plenty. On the ground to shortstop, Arcia scoops it up. D-backs get back within 1. Their second hit tonight is Jake Lamb's first home run this year. An opposite field solo shot. Bottom 6 on the way. D-backs trail at 3-2. Sixth on the way. What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. Game 2 of this 3-game set tomorrow night. Matt Cook on the mound against Yoeli Chacin. Be-Back Live pregame show comes your way at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Fox Sports Arizona. Matt from Cherokee, Iowa will have a whole bunch of friends and family here for that start tomorrow. Lorenzo Cain leads off the Brewers' 6th. Greinke at 70 pitches. Greinke has been very consistent with his pitch count per inning. 14, 15, 13, 12, and 15. He's given up only 3 hits, but 2 of them are home runs. Shaw, a 2-run shot in the first, and Santana, a solo home run in the 4th.
Zach Greinke upset with himself that time. He got a foul ball, but he did not want to throw that pitch where it ended up. He's his own worst critic out there on the mound. Sometimes he'll make noises as the ball's in flight to home plate if he knows it's not going to hit its spot.
Greinke's given up 3 here today. He had allowed only 1 run in each of his previous 3 starts. No decisions against the Astros, the Nationals, and the Brewers. All at Chase Field. Christian Yelich 0 for 2 will be next. This is belted deep to left field and way out of here. Lorenzo Cain, that's his 6th, and it's 4-2 Brewers. The 3rd home run given up today by Zach Greinke, and there goes Bernie. Greinke had given up only 7 home runs all year. Coming into tonight, that's the Brewers' 3rd here.
Oh. 90-mile-an-hour fastball up and out over the plate. Watch Cain lean back as he finishes his swing right there. Back legging it. When that back side breaks down the way it does, you can't help but have an uppercut swing, and he caught that one perfectly.
Here's Yelich, who was struck out and flied out. Lorenzo Cain back in Milwaukee, where he began his major league career, once traded for Zach Greinke. By goalie and into right. Yelich has a base hit. Remember the home runs we've talked about. It's become a problem as of late. All 4 Brewer runs today coming on home runs. 7 of the 12 runs they gave up against the Mets over the weekend were scored via the homer. Zach here in the 6th inning has still only given up 5 hits. Aguilar 0 for 2. And this is the guy that has been hitting all the home runs for Milwaukee lately. 4 in his last 3 games. Brewers have Matt Albers warming up in their bullpen. Chase Anderson has completed 6 innings. He's thrown only 80 pitches in the ball game, and his spot doesn't come up for a while yet.
As you said, he's been on the shelf for 10 days with that stomach virus, stomach ailment, whatever it was. So maybe Craig Counsell just figures he's going to take what he can get out of his starter and Turn it over to the bullpen, which is not a bad idea, as good as that bullpen has been for the Brewers this year.
It is an excellent group back there for Craig Counsell. Greinke ahead of Aguilar, 0-2. That's the strikeout. Gets him to chase that one into dirt. That's 8 strikeouts for Greinke. And you can hear Chris Guccione telling Craig Counsell he did not get a piece of that one. Aguilar strikes out for the second time tonight. Here's Shaw, who hit a 2-run home run in the first, his 11th of the year. Three defenders on the right side. Yelich will run from time to time. He's got 3 stolen bases. Swiped 16 last year with the Marlins. They call Travis Shaw the mayor of Ding Dong City. He's got a mayor of Ding Dong City bobblehead day coming up this weekend. Part of the long Brewer homestand that starts today. Last year, career highs, 31 home runs and 101 RBIs for Travis Shaw, after coming over from the Boston Red Sox. Mayor of Ding Dong City just doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, as nicknames go.
No, not all inspiring, not intimidating.
It might not look all that great on the Cooperstown plaque.
No.
It's not like Catfish or Goose or Lefty, anything.
3 fingers, any of those.
Mayor of Ding Dong City does not quite, it just doesn't fit.
Although you could probably get the people from Hostess to sponsor his plaque at Cooperstown.
They'll keep you in ding dongs for the rest of your life. Two balls and 1 strike on the Brewer third baseman. Oh. Ball person down there, not quite up to the challenge.
Ball was scalded foul down that first baseline, and the person responsible for catching those just deflected it on up to he was just going to give it to that guy anyway.
Had the stool in the right place. 2-2. At a moment like this where you look back at that D-backs first inning and just think what might have been. They had bases loaded, 1 out, and only got 1 run home on a bases loaded walk. Yelich holding, that one misses in. Full count, 3-2.
When you look at the Brewers' first inning, that ball that dropped in front of Chris Owings in right field, fooled by the swing of Lorenzo Cain in the first inning, that added another run when Travis Shaw later hit the homer.
Santana, who homered his last time up, is on deck. Oldie still holding Yelich on the bag over there. Here's the 3-2 to Shaw. Really working to keep Yelich close to that first base bag. a long inning for Matt Albers, who's been standing around in the Brewer bullpen, waiting around for a long time. Here it is on 3-2. Yelich takes off for second. Shaw lifts this in the air. High left center field. That ball is caught by Gerard Dyson. He went up and got it. What a play. And Peralta's down on the warning track. He's all right. A sensational catch by Gerard Dyson in left center field.
Well, the Diamondbacks outfielders had a number of balls like this season where either guy could probably get to it. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing, cool play of the game. Gerard Dyson, great focus, great concentration, able to hang on there. One last peek at the wall. David Peralta crashes into him, but able to hang on for the out. Nice play.
Yelich had to hustle back to the bag at first. He's down there now. 2 outs for Santana, who has struck out and homered. A strikeout and a home run, that's sort of the quintessential Domingo Santana start. He does a lot of both. Like that. Last year, 3rd in the National League in strikeouts. Greinke trying to get out of this 6th. 0-2. Travis Shaw, a 2-run home run in the 1st. Santana, a solo shot in the 4th. Kane, a solo homer here in the 6th. That has been all the Milwaukee scoring. 4 runs on 5 hits. This is down and away. Santana won't chase. It's 1-2. Nice block by Jeff Mathis back there. Keeps Yelich at first. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 90 pitches for Greinke. His spot is due up 3rd in the top of the 7th inning. Jonathan Villar, the second baseman, would be next for Milwaukee. Another one in the dirt. Count is full, 3-2.
You mentioned Zach Greinke has been very economical and very consistent with his pitch counts in the first 5 innings, but really taking his time between pitches here in the 6th. It's one of those things I talk about all the time. Don't believe what they tell you. Believe what you see with your eyes. And it's telling me that Zach Greinke feels like he's getting a little tired out there. Needs to take a little bit longer between pitches to regroup before throwing the next one.
Here it is on 3-2. There goes Yelich, and Santana fouls that one away. And Greinke has to work a little harder here.
RJ would get that way occasionally as he got near the end of an outing. He would start to take more time between pitches and rub up the baseball, then ask for a new baseball, then clean his cleats, shake off a couple of signs, step off the rubber. And without saying anything, that was my indication that he's nearing the end.
Got him. Greinke has 9 strikeouts, but Kane's homer makes it 4-2 Milwaukee. 4-2 Milwaukee as we start the 7th inning. Fans, this summer the World Cup is coming to Fox and to FS1. Every match is live. Over 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event begins June 14th on Fox and FS1. New pitcher for the Brewers, the right-hander Matt Albers, who last pitched Wednesday at Chase Field against the D-backs. 18 appearances this year, 14 of them scoreless. He's been very good. A 1.29 ERA. Will face the lower third of the D-backs order, Nick Ahmed, Jeff Mathis, and then the pitcher spot, 7, 8, 9. D-backs still trying to get this offense going. They've got only 3 hits tonight. One of them, Jake Lamb's first home run this year. The other 2 singles. Peralta to lead it off, then Marte in the 6th inning. That's been all the offense. Their other run after the Lamb homer came on a bases loaded walk in the 1st. Nick Ahmed has flied out, lined out 0 for 2. Albers was standing around in that Milwaukee bullpen for quite a while there during that somewhat extended bottom of the 6th inning. We'll see if that has any negative impact at all.
Albers, a sinker slider guy, kind of slings it up there. Long arm stroke out behind his back and then just slings it up toward home plate. It's a lot of late tailing action on that fastball.
Pena setting up down and in. Missed inside. It's a ball and a strike. Nick Ahmed's hit safely in 3 of his last 4 games. Had a triple against the Brewers last week at Chase Field. On and 2. D-backs trying to turn their luck around here. They've lost 4 games in a row in 10 of their last 11. But still holding a half-game edge over the Rockies atop the NL West as Fernando Salas starts to get loose. Greinke's spot in the order due up 3rd in this inning. Zach at 93 pitches for the game. Greinke really had to work there in that bottom of the 6th. 24 pitches. After Kane led it off with a homer, and then Yelich singled and struck out Aguilar. Got Shaw to fly out. Struck out Santana, but went to full counts on both the last 2 batters in that half inning. And now Salas is getting ready in the bullpen. 1 and 2 on Ahmed. On the ground to Shaw at 3rd. Greinke is coming out into the on-deck circle as Jeff Mathis steps in. Jeff walked his last time up. He's 0 for 1. There is Greinke, 93 pitches so far through 6 innings. Villar, the second baseman, moves over to the shortstop side of the bag. 0-1 on Mathis. Mathis gets into one. This ball is hit deep to left center field. Kane is at the wall, and he's got it just shy. Mathis gave it a ride, but it's allowed out number 2.
Oh, man, sounded good coming off the bat, hit in that area of the ballpark where, as I mentioned earlier, seems to carry extremely well. Lorenzo Kane able to run it down right in front of the barrier.
And Greinke's day is done. Here comes Steven Souza Jr., who will bat for the pitcher. Souza has been down after aggravating that right pectoral muscle injury. Making a throw in Friday's loss to the Mets at Citi Field, had to leave that ball game. And the MRI was looked at by Dr. Wisniewski today, and there is some inflammation in there, so it's a reoccurrence of the injury.
This is something you have to keep in mind. You mentioned the fact the Diamondbacks were still thinking about the possibility of putting Souza back on the disabled list. Well, you could have backdated it to the last day he played. Since he's taking this at bat, if you decide to put him on the disabled list, it would have to start after today.
That's a good point. You're going to keep him on the shelf if you do have to go that route for a few extra days. They'll find out probably tomorrow when the real test will be when Souza throws the ball. That's when it's the biggest problem for him. It's not that big a deal when he hits, but it's very difficult for him to throw the ball. So since we're not in the American League, the DH is not an option. 1-1.
Now, when you're carrying an injured player on your active roster like Steven Souza and you decide to put him on the disabled list, you can backdate it to the last date he appeared in a major league game.
The other consideration is going to Oakland after this. You could conceivably DH him there, and maybe by the end of the week he's much better and can play the field and throw the ball. But they need to wait and see how it goes tomorrow when he throws for the first time in a while. 2 balls and a strike. Steven is frustrated. The injury just seems to keep coming back and won't go away for him. 2-2. Gives up the loud out number 2, but works a 1-2-3 7th that stays 4-2 Milwaukee. Summary, the D-backs sputtering offense continues to falter. They trail the Brewers 4-2. They've got only 3 hits. And in the meantime, Milwaukee, again, Zach Greinke, who had given up only 7 home runs all year, has given up 3 today. Travis Shaw, Domingo Santana, Lorenzo Cain, all 4 Brewer runs coming via the homer. And now Fernando Salas is on to start the home half of the 7th inning.
Salas has been a busy guy, his 22nd appearance of the season.
Or the defense, or the offense, I should say, for the Diamondbacks, just looking for some kind of spark. Peralta led off the game with a single. The D-backs did not get another base hit until Lamb's homer with 1 out in the 6th inning. And Marte's single later in that inning, their only other hit. They've got 3 hits, they've left 4.
In that first inning for Chase Anderson, it looked like the Diamondbacks were going to knock him out of the game early. Couldn't find the strike zone. They were putting together some very patient at bats. They loaded him up, but just couldn't come up with that big hit. After that first inning, they were much more aggressive, and Chase Anderson was much better hitting the strike zone.
Zach Greinke struck out 9, did not walk a batter. Gave up only 5 hits, but 3 of them were home runs. 1-2 on Jonathan Villar.
Hey, we want to send birthday wishes to one of my favorite managers of all time, Bobby Cox, celebrating a 77th birthday today. 14 straight division titles, 1995 World Series champs, and he holds the record for career ejections with 161.
I was waiting for you to get to that. Although I should point out, in fairness to the other side, it was nice of Bruce Fremming to stop by the booth and say hello to you before the game today.
Bruce usually makes a trip in here every time we come to Milwaukee just to say hello and renew acquaintances and throw me out of the booth.
Exactly. Just by the glove of Salas under Martin into center. Villar takes a big turn at first. And he's got a leadoff single. Can't have been that much of an ogre if umpires are now coming back just to say hi to you.
I got along well with umpires as a player and even as a coach, but it was when I sat in that big seat and I saw how much one bad call, one ball that should have been a strike, one strike that should have been a ball can swing a game. I'll tell you one thing I liked about Bruce. I told you guys this before the ball game. When the benches would clear, Bruce would get right in the middle of it, and as loud as he could yell, "None of you dummies want to fight. Go sit down." And everybody would go, "Yeah, you know, you're kind of right, Bruce."
Everybody just grabbing each other and standing there.
Go sit down. You don't want to fight.
The catcher Manny Pino for 2. That kind of thing happened over the weekend with the Reds and the Cubs. They had a sort of a standoff that didn't amount to much, but the bench is empty.
We've been watching Angel Hernandez down there at first base, the first base umpire, and he'll stand out of the way as Carlos Subera, the first base coach, comes over to whisper in the ear of Jonathan Villar. But as the coach leaves, he moves into a position I've never seen a first base umpire take.
Is he looking for a balk move?
I'm not sure what he could possibly be looking for. I don't know. Maybe he's just determined over his many years of experience that that's a better angle to make that call. Usually the umpire stays right where he's at now, up the first baseline a little bit.
That's Dave McKay's spot right there. Angel's actually got 1 foot on the dirt down there. He's really close to the bag. Oh, Villar was leaning towards second.
As the pitch is being delivered, Angel backs up into a better umpiring position to be able to call fair or foul should they hit one down that right field line, but I have never seen that before.
Wow. Villar is inching toward that bag. He stays put. Pena lifts this in the air to center for Dyson. Oh, he tripped up. Villar breaking toward second just to make a good show of it. Slipped and fell.
Craig Counsell, a believer in, outfielders in the major leagues aren't going to drop routine fly balls very often, so go back and tag up. Maybe you can force him to rush his throw. Maybe the cutoff man will drop the ball. That time the throw appeared to be on line, so Villar slams on the brakes and lost his footing momentarily, but plenty of time to get back to the bag.
The shortstop is Orlando Arcia. He has struck out, grounded out 0 for 2. Pitcher spot is up next, and Ji-Man Choi is in the on-deck circle for the Brewers. Boy, Villar is making a lot of noise down there with his feet. He's getting awfully jumpy and fidgety. Big secondary and then extended leads. Really trying to create a distraction down there. There he goes again. Now usually there's something else right here. Oh, they got him leaning the wrong way, and he's just back in time.
A little flinch there. As the good base runners do, he slides to the far outfield side of the bag, forcing Goldie to bring that tag all the way back to the back of the base.
Well, that position also puts Angel in a good spot when they do have a close play over there and a pickoff attempt. Right on top of the bag.
Well, one other thing that position will do is put you in line for a bad throw at first base on a pickoff attempt. And I know that from being a first base coach. I used to stand fairly close to where Angel is right now, and I got hit with a pickoff attempt, a wide pickoff attempt one time, and the runner couldn't advance. So I learned to get the heck out of the way.
Well, the umpire is considered part of the field. Not so much the coaches. 1-1 on Orlando Arcia. They are still inching toward that second base bag. He's 7 for 8 in his stolen base attempts this year. And is only a couple of years removed from a 62 stolen base season, so he can run.
Yeah, he can run, and he's trying to get that walking lead to get his momentum moving towards second base as Salas picks up that front foot to deliver the ball home. Just have a little bit of momentum going to second.
And he takes off. Arcia fouls the 1-1 away. Two strikes on Arcia. Ji-Man Choi in the on-deck circle for the Brewers. He will hit for the pitcher Alberts. There is Ji-Man Choi, big powerful left-hand hitter, had a home run in Minnesota over the weekend. VR holds this time. That one's fouled straight back. Stays 1-2.
Pickoff attempt getting a little bit closer down there at first base. VR is probably just about to his maximum lead off right now. Just barely getting in ahead of the tag.
Yeah, when time was called, VR went out to the spot where he takes that lead and kind of straightened out the dirt. Torrey wants to challenge that last one. And now Angel Hernandez and Larry Vanover will come in, and they'll put on the headsets. Well, you know that Alan Campbell has spotted something in the video room if they're going to challenge.
Tough to tell from that angle whether VR actually had his hand on the back of the base that time. It's always tougher for a right-handed throwing first baseman because your glove hand is toward the pitcher's mound. You want to let that ball travel as far as you can. It's always going to get there quicker if it flies rather than you reaching out for it and bringing it back.
Safe at first is the call, so the D-backs lose that shot. Still a count of 1-2 on Orlando Arcia.
See where Goldie catches the ball and then has to drag it back to the back of the base. It did look like VR might have got his hand on that corner just before the tag.
VR takes off again, swing and a miss. And he's in there safely at second as Arcia strikes out.
Well, it took him a while, but VR finally picks a pitch to run on. Had a great jump down there at first base, and Nick trying to slap the tag on just in case he slides off the back of the base, but able to hang on that time with his foot.
And now G-Man Choi goes back to the dugout, and Tyler Saladino will hit for the pitcher Alberts. Saladino 375 and 2 home runs, and both those homers came last week at Chase Field, including the inside the park homer on which A.J. Pollock fractured his thumb. The R at second and 2 outs. Saladino's hit safely in 4 straight games. He singled twice in his start yesterday at Minnesota. And the Brewers, despite the fact they lead the ball game 4-2, right now their first plate appearance tonight with a runner in scoring position. All the runs have come via the homer. 1-1.
Number 1, it's a night game. Number 2, Tyler Saladino didn't even start this game, but he's got his eye black on.
Just feels like a better player with it on.
Whatever makes you feel good.
Well, maybe he's trying to see through that layer of smoke or whatever it is out there. Actually, that, for the first time tonight, seems to have dissipated a bit. Only took 7 innings. Pre-game fireworks in an enclosed facility don't seem to make a ton of sense. You want to do it after a win, that's fine. But right before opening pitch is a bit much. Just off the plate. It's 2-2. Kane, who homered his last time up, would be next. One of 3 Milwaukee homers tonight against Zach Greinke. Missed with a fastball, and it's a full count, 3-2. th pitch of the inning on the way from Fernando Salas. Got him. They strand the leadoff single. 8th inning on the way in Milwaukee. D-backs trail it 4-2. Three-game series, trail the Brewers 4-2. New pitcher for the Brew Crew, the right-hander Jeremy Jeffress. Look at that ERA, 0.36. He is unscored upon in 23 of his 24 appearances this year, including his last 20 in a row.
Boy, crazy numbers with the Brewers over his last 3 stints up here at the major league levels. He's 16-3 with a .229. He saved 30 games. That's over a total of 204 games. He's been on that shuttle back and forth, but I think he's found a home.
Yeah, as we've mentioned, this is a very good Brewer bullpen. Peralta will lead it off here in the D-back 8th inning. He singled and scored to lead off the ball game. One of just 3 D-backs hits so far.
Basically a 3-pitch mix from Jeffress: a fastball, curveball, and a splitter. The last pitch, the hard curveball that he throws.
Little tapper to first. Aguilar picks it up. Jeffress covers, 1 away. Chris Owings 0 for 3. Been a tough month of May for this ball club, 5-13 in May. And the offense has scored more than 4 runs only twice in their last 21 games. Yesterday in New York, 1 run, 6 hits. Today, 2 runs on 3 hits in Milwaukee. You just get a sense if one guy could get hot, the rest might follow. Jake Lamb back in the lineup. Jake homered his last time up. He's on deck. CO has had a slow month at the plate. Peralta's been scuffling as of late. Ketel Marte has cooled off a bit. We know what Goldie's been going through. Just looking for somebody to start to get hot and lead the way. It was A.J. Pollock, but he's going to be out for a while. Theo looks at strike 3.
Yeah, partner, there's an old saying in the game, 1 to measure, 1 to rake. Jake Lamb in his last at bat only saw 2 pitches. The first one was a fastball that he fouled off. 1 to measure, 1 to rake. Both of them at 92. The second one up and out over the plate, and Jake takes it out of here to the opposite field. Our nationwide vision, eye on the game.
His first home run this year. He has walked and homered 1 for 2 today.
That is a hard sinker right there from Jeffress. 96 miles an hour with some sinking tailing action as it got into the hitting zone.
There at 95, and it's 1-1. Three and 1. Goldie on deck. Talked about how good this bullpen is. Talked about how the offense has struggled. It's still only 4-2 here. Get a base runner, 1 swing. Suddenly it's a tie ball game. Here's the 3-1 to Lamb. Here's your base runner. Second time tonight that Jake has taken a base on balls. Here comes Goldie. Goldie was hit by a pitch his first time up. Took one right in the elbow or the forearm. Probably still see the mark. He's also grounded out, flied out. Butcher on the phone with Mike Fetters in the bullpen. A chance for Goldie here. The career .456 hitter in this ballpark. 20 games, 20 RBIs. He's homered here 7 times. It's a chopper to third, barehanded by Shaw. And they get him at first.
You can see how deep Shaw started. That's a pretty nice barehanded play. Long throw across his body on a hop just in time to get Goldie.
Nori Lovello out to have a word with Chris Guccione as we head to the home half of the 8th inning. D-backs trail at 4-2.
This is what he did his last time up. Zach Greinke, everything down, down, down. 2 fastballs down, a slider down, another fastball down. He makes one mistake up in the zone, and Lorenzo Cain launched it to left field.
Yeah, that was way back there. Nationwide Vision Center eye on the game. The 6th of the year for number 6, and now he leads off the bottom of the 8th inning. Fernando Salas back out there for the D-backs. Salas worked the 7th in relief of Zach Greinke, who went 6 tonight. Gave up 4 runs, 5 hits, 3 of those hits home runs. So back up Owings in right field at the track, just shy of the wall, and Co's got it for the first out. Lovello out to the mound. You've got the left-hander Yelich coming up. The right-hander Aguilar behind him. Andrew Chafin on his way in. We take a break from Miller Park in Milwaukee.
inning in the third, gave up 1 hit, struck out a couple of Brewers. This was Lorenzo Cain at bat, a fastball up out of the zone, and then one right down the middle. Fortunately hit high in the air to right field. Chris Owings has enough room on the warning track to run it down.
Got under it just a bit there. And now the left-hander Andrew Chafin is on to face the left-hand batter Christian Yelich. 24th appearance of the year for Chafin. Yelich singled his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Yelich is a guy that does all right against left-hand pitching. .250 this year with a home run versus lefties. Andrew reaches up and snags it, and they retire Yelich. 2 down. Now you've got Aguilar, the right-hand batter, coming up, and Shaw, the lefty, behind him. And they'll stick with Chafin here against Aguilar, who is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. But maybe the hottest hitter right now in this Brewers lineup. He hit 4 homers in 3 games at Minnesota over the weekend. Along the line, trying to get out of play. Owings is over there, but it's in the seats.
For Aguilar at this point, it doesn't really make much difference to him, righty lefty. Going into play tonight, he was hitting .333 against lefties. He was hitting .333 against righties.
The closer, Corey Knebel. D-backs in the 9th inning will have Marte, Dyson Ahmed, 5, 6, and 7 due up. Driven to center for Dyson. And Chafin gets 2 big outs. We hit the 9th. D-backs down 2. D-backs down to their final 3 outs. They have only 3 hits. They trail it 4-2. In danger of extending the losing streak to 5. And on for Milwaukee, the closer Corey Knebel, who last pitched Friday at Minnesota, working a perfect 9th inning. He was on the DL for a while last month with a strained left hamstring. He'll face Marte, Dyson Ahmed, 5, 6, and 7 due up in the D-backs 9th inning.
Fastball curveball combination from Knebel. The fastball will be in the upper 90s, and he likes to challenge hitters with it.
Tel Marte drew a bases loaded walk in the first. He singled his last time up. He's 1 for 2. And as we feared, that first inning has indeed come back to haunt the D-backs a bit. They had bases loaded, 1 out, and could muster only a bases loaded walk for the run. They left the bases full after Dyson struck out an Ahmed flying-out to end the threat. Shaw homered in the bottom of the first, and the D-backs have trailed ever since. Check swing foul behind Tony Perez-Chica. But so far, the D-backs have as many hits as the Brewers have home runs. 3. Travis Shaw at third. Need a base runner. It might as well be Gerard Dyson. Dyson 0 for 3 following his 3-hit day yesterday in New York. We talked about the idea, Bob, that Dyson might want to try bunting at least once per game. He tried one earlier in the ball game and fouled it off, but you're looking for a base runner here. Shaw anticipating that maybe at third. This might not be a bad spot. 98. And now Chris Guccione gives the corner. 0-1.
All fastballs so far from Knebel. I mentioned he's got a high 90s heater. He likes it. He throws it a lot. He challenges with 2 strikes with high fastballs.
Here's a curve. He didn't go, says Hunter Wendelstedt. The ball and a strike. D-backs 2 runs on 3 hits. They've left 5. There's the bunt attempt, and he fouls it off. That brought Shaw sprinting in from third base. 1-2 on Dyson. Now with 2 strikes, he can back up. Ahmed, the on-deck hitter. Saw the numbers on Corey Knebel. Mentioned he missed some time last month with that strained left hamstring. His only save this year was all the way back in March 30th at San Diego, his 2nd game of the season. Trying to get save number 2 right here. Stays 1-2. Pena behind the plate. Got him.
Well, you just have to be constantly aware of that high 90s fastball, and if he's able to throw that curveball anywhere near the strike zone, he's going to catch a lot of hitters looking at that pitch.
Crowd on its feet. Nick Ahmed 0 for 3. D-backs Friday in New York, 1 run, 6 hits. Yesterday, 1 run, 6 hits. Tonight, 2 runs on 3 hits. It's up to Nick. With Scalzo on deck, he would hit for Mathis. Should Ahmed reach, there's the strike 0-1. to first. Aguilar. Knebel is there, and Milwaukee takes the opener 4-2. The D-backs have now dropped 5 in a row and 11 of their last 12. They fall to 5 and 14 in the month of May.
And once again, the lack of offense really hamstrings the pitching staff. Zach Greinke wasn't on top of his game tonight, gave up 3 home runs, but still ought to be able to give up a few runs in a ball game and still have a chance to win, and that day is going to come soon.
The Brewers 4 runs, all on the homer. They win it 4-2. Back from Miller Park after this.